French Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is now officially an insider. The once shunned conspiracy theorist has landed a pair of powerful committee assignments: Homeland Security and Oversight. And I want to underline that point. The same woman who pushed 9/11 conspiracy theories is now on the Homeland Security Committee. And that's just scratching the surface.
The so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon. It's odd, there's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon.
There is an Islamic invasion into our government offices right now.
How do you get avid gun owners and people that support the Second Amendment to give up their guns? Maybe you accomplish that by performing a mass shooting into a crowd. You make them scared, you make them victims, and you change their mindset.
Kennedy getting killed in the plane crash. That's another one of those Clinton murders, right? We're talking about who is Q, so I'm going to tell you what he says. According to him, many in our government are actively worshiping Satan, or they call Moloch. Q is saying that they participate in pedophilia and spirit cooking. We already saw there was an email came out of the WikiLeaks emails where Cheryl Moles, and she told Hillary Clinton in an email that she was going to sacrifice a chicken to Moloch in her backyard. Saudi Arabia, the Rothschilds, and Soros, he says, are the puppet masters that fund this global evil. There's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take this global cable of Satan-worshiping pedophiles out.
Don't forget about Jewish space lasers. The Homeland Security Committee oversees the border and will likely play a role in the potential impeachment of DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and a seat on the Oversight Committee will put her in a position to investigate President Joe Biden. It's a lot of power for someone who was stripped of her committee assignments 2 years ago because of her extreme views.
Not just Marjorie Taylor Greene, another Republican in the House has also been placed on committees to some controversy. Newly elected Congressman George Santos is not on one but two different committees, despite growing pressure for him to resign because of the lies and exaggerations and fabrications he has made about his resume and background. A good chunk of those lies actually had to do with his business experience. One of the committees he's going to serve on is the Committee on Small Business. He did not get the financial committee that he wanted to be on, though. The other that he is going to be sitting on is the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. Some of Santos's Republican colleagues are defending the decision to give him those committee seats.
Why? What do you there are concerns about his past. Why give him committee assignments?
Well, I mean, again, he hasn't committed a crime. He hasn't been indicted on anything at this point. And in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. So we're going to treat him like any other member and, keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye on him.
For perspective now, I want to bring in Miles Taylor, former chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security during the Trump administration. Miles, I mean, neither of these are really plum assignments. They're not ones that a lot of lawmakers are seeking to get. But the fact that he did still get two committee assignments seems to be an obvious indication of how Republican leaders are going to deal with George Santos.
Yeah, it says a lot, Caitlin, about what they're going to try to do. But I think even more significantly is where they didn't put George Santos. So my sources on Capitol Hill tell me that they had originally considered him for several national security committees, but decided against it because they didn't want to trust George Santos with classified information. So that tells you two things. One, it tells you they view something like the Small Business Committee as a throwaway committee. And two, that I guess somewhere within the Republican caucus, they do draw a line on which members they do and don't trust with classified information. And given all of the allegations surrounding George Santos, they decided to put him in quote, safer committees.
I wonder, Miles, if there is, I don't want to say sleight of hand there, if they're not telling him everything. Because I would imagine that he thinks that, oh, I'm all good with everyone and I have these committee assignments. But are they essentially meeting behind closed doors and saying, we can't trust this guy with this, or as my mom would say, treating him with a long handle spoon?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I mean, I think that they're probably trying to put George Santos in the place that they think he can do the least amount of damage. I would like to say to the country, but probably the reality is they're trying to put him somewhere where he can do the least amount of damage to the party and to the House Republican caucus before they're told by the House Ethics Committee, where they stand on the things that George Santos did. I mean, you have to note that Kevin McCarthy and others keep trying to buy themselves time when it comes to George Santos by saying it will go through normal processes. In other words, that the Ethics Committee will look into the allegations and then provide a recommendation. In the meantime, they want to handle him with kid gloves.
Yeah, because the Ethics Committee moves famously very quickly. I'm kidding. It does not.
Yeah, I know,
It's so sluggish. Miles, what's your reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene being placed on the Homeland Security Committee?
And the Oversight Committee as well. Right?
Yeah, I mean, look, no doubt. I mean, if I was still chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security, I would tell the department something right now. I would tell them, you are not to brief her without my authorization. I don't think DHS, I don't think the intelligence community should trust this member of Congress. That's not speculative. That's based on what she's said in the past. But even more significant is this. She is on the committee that's responsible for preventing acts of domestic terrorism. Now, the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol was, by definition, the largest domestic terrorism attack on the United States in a generation. And what did Marjorie Taylor Greene say about that attack? If she had been in charge, quote, we would have won. That's extremely alarming. In addition, the committee oversees election security. She tried to overturn an election. And of course, as we've talked about, it receives very sensitive intelligence. And in the past, she's accused the intelligence community of running deep state operations against Americans. So you really worry what she'll do with the information she gets on that committee. And remember, Donald Trump is always a phone call away. She's in regular touch with him, as we've seen from pictures from the House floor during Kevin McCarthy's speakership battle.
Interesting. 6 Republicans have now placed 6 people who question the results of the 2020 election on the Homeland Security Committee, 7 more on the Judiciary Committee. That kind of tells you where the GOP is going, and the American people are going to have to hang on for the ride. Miles, appreciate it.
Jeff Zelnick joins us now, along with CNN senior political correspondent and Inside Politics Sunday anchor Abby Phillip. So, Jeff, we heard in your piece the comments Marjorie Taylor Greene made regarding 9/11, essentially questioning the attack on the Pentagon. Now she'll have a seat on the Homeland Security Committee, which was founded in reaction to 9/11. What do we expect for her on that committee?
Well, Anderson, she is first and foremost focused on the border. Of course, that's what many House Republicans are focused on, and particularly the policies of the Biden administration and of the DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. So look for an investigation that could potentially lead to impeachment proceedings. We will see how that plays out. But this is really a test for her, because just today she was put back on these committees. She's essentially been, had a lot of free time on her hands the last couple of years, because she's not served on any committees at all after being stripped of those. But she will be serving on the Homeland Security Committee and the Oversight Committee. So we'll see how she conducts herself. She won't be leading these committees. She'll be a member. But the border seems, at least for now, her focus.
Abby, she supported and defended Kevin McCarthy throughout his speakership bid. Republicans controlling the House, Greene showing her unwavering dedication. Where does this place her now in the Republican Party?
Yeah, I mean, I think that she said it herself several months ago that that if Republicans took over the House of Representatives, which they did, that she would be one of the most powerful members of the House. And I think that she, probably like a lot of other members, given their small majority, is in a real position of power, because I think that she lent Kevin McCarthy quite a lot of credibility. And that relationship, if it is transactional, it is in both directions. I mean, he needs her as much as she needs him for an opportunity to be on those committees, to have some kind of real power. So I think that she's strategically has quite a lot of power right now. The question is she going to use it in a way that is good for her or good for the Republican majority? I think those are not necessarily the same thing, and we'll see whether this strategic maturity that Jeff is talking about holds once there's a lot of pressure on Kevin McCarthy in the coming months from the right flank, of which she is still a part.